Thank
president
you.
of YPS, and is a tall figure in the fields of not only wildlife, but in many other genres. And we welcome you all. And I
So
welcome
your
you all
audio is,
for this.
yeah, yeah.
I welcome you all for this lovely wintry evening of December. And I also wish to say a few words regarding our TPS magazine. This month magazine focus is due to be released in a couple of days
Mhm.
due to some delays in the article finalization and other
Mhm.
things. And it will be out within a couple of days, I believe. And so, without wasting much of our time, I think I will hand it over to Sri Sachaprasad to speak about Sri President Satish sir, and he will carry on with the presentation of today's evening's wildlife diaries. So, thank you, and over to Sri Sachaprasad.
Good evening to all. Good evening to all. Good evening, Satish.
Good evening,
Uh,
Satyaprasad.
yeah, it's my pleasure and honor to introduce Satish to everyone who are present. And the easiest thing is that I don't have to talk too much about Satish because everyone knows who is
Please,
Satish.
you introduced in a very
Yeah,
shortest manner.
yeah. So everyone knows Satish. And some of the things what I'll tell a couple of things which not many may not be aware. He's the youngest Indian to get MFIAP at the age of what's your age, Satish, when you got MFIAP?
33.
33 is the youngest Indian to get MFIAP, and another leading wildlife photographers in India. And the and and second thing is uh, people who go with him to wildlife shoots, they say that he knows exactly when the bird is going to move and which direction. Just looking
Mhm.
at the bird for a few minutes, he can predict. So you can have 600 lenses or 800 or whatever it is. But the most important part of wildlife or nature, birds or animals, to know their behavior. That will come only with the experience. The hours and hours you spend on the field. That Satish is mastered it. So that's why he can get phenomenally great images. Previously, he was using very basic equipment for wildlife. With that equipment, he could make phenomenally great images because of his passion, his understanding of nature. So that's a great thing, Dr. Satish. And he has one of the biggest weakness is if anyone is a photographer, he'll bring them to he'll become very close friend to all photographers. So one of my friends, Vimal Parmar, once he told me when he introduced Satish to me, like, no, Satish' biggest weakness is his photographers. All his photographers, whoever is photographer, he will welcome them with open arms to his, to his friend circle. So that is his very magnanimous person, and it's always pleasure going out for a shoot or sitting for a lunch or dinner or interacting with Satish is always a pleasure. And it's my honor that I met him so many times whenever I go to Bangalore or whenever he comes to Hyderabad. And the what we are going to see for next 1 hour or more than 1 hour is journey in wildlife, which is eagerly looking forward, and he's going to share his experiences in wildlife and what all of us are eagerly looking forward is his thought process, how he is going to shoot and how we approach the subject. That's what is going to be the most uh, important and interesting subject. Over to you, Satish. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I profoundly thank Mr. Satyaprasad and Mr. Sarma Garu and Mr. Arvind Chengi and all others for giving me this great opportunity to present my images and talk about my favorite subject, wildlife photography, with all like-minded people of TPS and all others photo artists of India. So actually, I had a very good contact with Mr. Satyaprasad and Ashok Kandimalla sir. I used to interact them many times because both of them were used to come to Bangalore and talk to me, and we used to exchange our ideas and knowledge about wildlife, landscapes, and other things with all other friends. So that's how I developed a good rapport and a friendship with these two great photographers. And later on, I was invited to Andhra Pradesh Photographic Society to give a presentation on wildlife. I had come to Hyderabad and presented my images a long time back. And coming to my wildlife photography, I started, though I started my photography as a hobby when I was 12-year-old. Then after doing cinematography, I became an assistant cameraman in Kannada films, and then I left it due to various reasons. I started my own photography, and my passion is wildlife and landscape photography very much. And though I do all genres of photography, because I want to be known as a photographer rather than a wildlife photographer, because I don't want to get any brand on my name. Because if you are a wildlife photographer, people know that you are confined only to wildlife. I am not like that, because I love to shoot landscapes. I love to shoot portrait. I love to take still photography, still life, and all those things. So I love whatever there is a beautiful opportunity and subject, I try to make it an artistic presentation in a way that it should look artistic. So that's how I loved all genres of photography. But my basic love is towards wildlife and landscape photography. But unfortunately, I had a very small gadgets and very unpopular lenses with me. And within that only, I finished all my international distinctions, like MFIAP, FIAP, ARPS, MICs, everything I finished. After that, I bought all my superior quality lenses in Nikon, like D850, 8400 mm VR lenses, and 600 mm f4 VR lens. Like that, I bought all top quality lenses after I completed all my distinctions. So to continue my passion, I am still doing, and still I'm going for trekking with my all heavy duty lenses. I climb mountains, and that passion is taking me to very difficult areas. I don't mind difficulties, because if I want to get the best of it, I have to go and take pictures in all difficulties. So as and when I share my pictures, I keep talking about that. Shall I share my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Can you see the first image?
Yes, we can see, sir.
Yeah. So I'll be talking about the art of wildlife photography and wildlife diaries. So in my photographic journey, for almost about 15 to 16 years, I was traveling all alone. So I have traveled to all wildlife sanctuaries of India, national parks of India, and I have seen all the sanctuaries. And the best I like was the Corbett National Park and Kaziranga National Park in Assam. So those are my very favorite, and I keep going to Corbett quite often. Almost every year I keep going there. And I don't go behind big animals. I shoot whatever I come across. Supposing if the driver of the gypsy, if he is taking me to find out tiger in the sanctuary, I stop him in between and take a bird picture, which is sitting in backlighting or with the sun rays coming, or a sambar deer standing. If it is good, I'll stop and take pictures. So I will not go after tigers. So if there is nothing to be done, then we'll go in search of tigers. So like that, I never go to, I never pinpoint a particular animal and go in search of it. Because in nature, everything is so special for us, particularly for wildlife photographers. So we have to take the pictures in a beautiful way, because even if you think that after we take a bird, a tiger picture, come back and take this sambar or bird picture, it will not wait for you. So don't miss the opportunity. Utilize the opportunity. Supposing if you miss this sambar or spotted deer or some monkeys playing in backlighting, if you miss that and go for tiger, by the time you go to the tiger will vanish and it will not wait there. So you come back to the same place, and if you look for these monkeys playing in backlighting, that will also not be there. So you will miss both the opportunity. So a bird in hand is better than two in the bush. So better whatever you have got in front of you, try to take those images. Next go ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. So what cameras I have got? I got Nikon D4 and D850, and I have lenses of 24 to 120 mm, 600 mm f4, 80 to 400 mm VR2, and 105 mm for macro. And I have tripods 055 Pro Manfrotto and Manfrotto B Free. So these are my equipments. I always take this on my photographic journeys. So now coming to wildlife, what kind of wildlife you want to do? You have to decide much before planning your trips. Most of the wildlife are found in beautiful jungles of India. Whether you go to Kabini or Bandipur or Nagarole in south, or if you go to Corbett or Ranthambore, Bandhagar in North India and all forests have got the different kind of vegetations, different kind of forests, maybe sal forest in one sanctuaries, or teak and other trees in different sanctuaries, or only bamboo shoots in different sanctuaries. Like that, each different sanctuaries have got its own beauties, but everywhere there is a lake or a pond or a river flowing in the sanctuary or in the middle of the forest, because water is very, very important for all the living beings, whether it is human beings or animals or birds or insects, whatever it is living, they need water. So water source should be very good in all the sanctuaries. And what kind of vegetation you see, what kind of flowering trees you see is entirely it differs from place to place. The kind of flowering trees or the kind of forest that you see in South India, and it is entirely opposite in North India. These trees and flowering trees, you will not find it in North India. They are all different by itself. And all the birds or some animals like elephants, they depend on this kind of trees for their bark, for their flowers or the fruits or things like that. And even in different seasons, each tree, it has got its own beauty through the young shooting leaves. It gives beautiful coloration in different weather conditions and different seasons. So as a photographer, you have to take everything that is in front of you, whatever the mother nature has given us. Being a wildlife photographer, I concentrate on trees, the flowers, the wild flowers, orchids and fungi and lichens and mosses, frogs, snakes, everything I shoot. It's not just elephant. From ant to elephant, I shoot everything. I take pictures. And the other kind of forest is the sholas. The sholas are the typical forest that grows in evergreen forest or rainfall, wherever there is a heavy rainfall throughout the year. It will have evergreen forest. Throughout 365 days, the trees are green. That's why it's called as evergreen forest. In evergreen forest, between the valleys, the forest grows. You can see the foreground, the shola forest, the beautiful shola forest. Here, there will be a lot of endemic insects, endemic butterflies, endemic birds, so many things. So this shola forest, it will never dry up in any of the seasons. So this shola forest has the backbone of all the forest life. And as I said earlier, the river or the water is the life source for most of the animals and birds. Here you can see the dawn in Corbett National Park. The sun is yet to come above the mountain, but sunrise has just happened. You can see the beautiful orange glow in the sky as well as its reflection in the water. This is the elephant. The elephant is one of the largest living animal on the land, and elephants are found in not in many sanctuaries, in only a few wildlife parks. Supposing the animals, the pachyderms, it's called, the elephants, it confined to good forest area. It doesn't live in desert area or where there is no forest, where there is no grassland. It will not live in such kind of areas. The elephant needs a very good forested tree line. It needs grassland. It needs good water, and for its walking area, the expanse of the forest should be quite vast, because it can travel at least 20 kilometers a day. And what is important for a wildlife photographer? First and foremost thing for a wildlife photographer is that you should have good knowledge of the behavior of animals and birds. In all my programs, in all my talks, I talk about this particular thing called knowing about behavior. Because as a photographer, it is not that you have to click your camera buttons as and when you see the animal. After taking the picture of this animal, okay, we'll go to the next area and look for another animal. It's not like that. He is not a full photographer. A complete photographer is the one who knows about the behavior of animals and birds. So it is the 80% of your work. If you know this particular subject of behavior, then your photography becomes very, very easy. The next 10% is your gadgets. You should have a know-how and technical know-how about your cameras. You should have good cameras, good lenses, proper focal lenses for proper animals and birds. You cannot use a 16 mm lens or 24 mm lens for elephants, or you cannot use a 600 mm lenses for landscapes or insects or things like that. For each and every subject, it has got its own focal length requirement. So particular use of lighting conditions and proper focal length lenses is very, very important. So 10% is technical know-how, your exposure, your composition, your processing. Next 10% is the luck. So if you have good knowledge about the behavior of all the wildlife, plus if you have good, very good gadgets, you have got very good lenses, everything is not sufficient. Being at the right time, at the right place, with the right equipments and lighting is the luck. So when you are there, the animal should stand and pose, or you should do some good activity to give you some poses. Or the luck matters in a different way, like forest department people giving you good permission to stay back and take another half an hour more time, or go round about it for different place, take pictures. Or after taking pictures, if your processing or if your exposure becomes good, they are all come into luck factor. So this luck factor is more important than the 90% of other factors. So for wildlife photography, all these different factors are very, very important. So the elephant is one of the most gentlemen of the forest. It will not harm you unless you harm them. And they are always social animals. They live together. They want to be within the family. Only the male elephant, which is called as the tusker, which has got tusks, they live. They love to live in a lonely place or separately in a secluded places like that. Only during mating season or want to be develop the family or improve this thing, they come to the group and mate with the female, and then increase the population, and so on and so forth. But after that, they separate from the group and they want to be alone. And they usually can take almost about 40 liters of water at a time. They love to stay in water for a long time. They love playing in the water. They love taking the bath in the water. After that, they will have a mud bath to get away from the insects and other worms on the body, because they keep moving in the jungles under the tree and bushes. A lot of insects and ticks and all, they get in touch with their skin and they irritate, so they cannot scratch their body. So the other way of getting rid of all these insects is getting a mud bath. So they love to take mud bath. They want to be in the water for a long time. And here you can see in the Corbett National Park, after drinking the water, they are just crossing from the grassland. They go to the main forest area. So here you can see the first sunlight falling on the body. What is important factor for improving your wildlife is that you have to add the environment or the landscape that shows the belongingness of the animals, because here it gives an idea for an onlooker that what is the kind of vegetation these animals live. So by looking at this picture, I may not have to explain that this belongs to the forest area and they need water, river, the grassland is there, all these things. So this is kind of a storytelling picture. You can make it by including good compositional values and good inclusion of forests in a picture. And here you can see just before the sunrise, during the dawn, when there is a beautiful reddish or orange light reflecting on the body and the water, you can get silhouette images of the animals crossing in the water. So different compositions you can make, but you have to think about all these different, how to be different from another photographer, because in a jeep, you will have your friends. So in a group, there will be more people. So on the outset, when you take picture and discuss with your images, so your image should stand out from others. So how to think out of the box is one factor that always that wildlife photographer should think about it. Whether it is a reflection or compositional values, where we can show the animals in a very diminished manner, because here it is a comparison between the nature, mother nature, how vast it is, and how the animals are so small in front of the mother nature. And you can also see vulture just sitting next to the elephants. The other factor of behavior of animals, what I was talking, is the symmetry. The symmetrical use of taking pictures comes particularly in elephant photography. If you observe, being a wildlife photographer, when they are walking, they keep the legs in the same directions, in the same way like the mother does. The calf will drink the water in the same time when the mother drinks the water. It's like symmetry. So you can observe all these factors when you are following the elephants for a long time, or when you are concentrating only on the elephants, you will come across all these factors. This observation during photography is very, very important, and these are the lessons that you are going to learn when you want to become a better and better wildlife photographer. These factors of communication between the elephants, between the calf and the mother, or between the groups is very, very important. They communicate by touching the trunks. They communicate by putting their trunks into the mouth of the mother. And they also send the signals, in infrared signals, which humans we cannot understand or listen. It sends signals across 8 kilometers to other groups. And also the elephants have got a beautiful memory of direction of the water. Even if you if the animals, they take 20-kilometer 30-kilometer walk, they know in which direction the water is there. So all these senses the God has given them in a very beautiful manner. And the lighting, when you want to take the play of light between the mother and the calf, there the mother is chasing the naughty calf because it keeps disturbing the mother quite often. So here you can see it's just chasing away the calf. So during that time you can take very nice images, because the dust rising out of the mud, it gives beautiful lighting effect, all these things. So the important thing is every second is important. You cannot yawn, you cannot sleep, you cannot blink your eyes, you cannot talk to your photography friend, or you cannot look here and there when the animals are in front of you. Because the observation, by looking at their activities, by observing their behaviors, you will get so many fantastic images. Supposing if you miss that, you are going to miss it forever. So keep clicking, keep looking, keep observing when the animals are there in a large number. Suppose this kind of observation and other things, it will not get many chance with other animals like tigers or sambar or sloth bear, because they give very, very less time, not even a minute, not even 2 minutes, nothing. When a tiger, if you look at the tiger, you have to shoot. Whereas elephants, they can stay with you for 1 hour, 2 hours. You have got a lot of time. So knowing about the behavior of elephants, that is the best time. So you can spend more time, you keep observing. Don't keep deleting images as and when you take images, because when you are deleting images, that is when the best thing, the best action happens. So what do you do that time? So always never delete images on the spot. First, you have to take 1 or 2 exposures to get to know about the exposure, the lighting, the composition, the background, everything, whether the focal length is correct or not, all those things. To get an idea, you have to see the monitor at the back of the camera. Then onwards, nothing, no looking again at the camera screen. You have to come back to your room, put it onto your PC or laptop. Then only in the PC you have to delete. Never delete your images in the camera. So during that time, you may miss a lot of chances. And here you can see how the elephants, they love dusting off and putting their mud on their body. Just like talcum powder that we use, they also use this finest dust particles to keep away from the insects. And sometimes some intricate pictures you can take, like the trunk. So the trunk of the elephant is like the hands that humans have got. We can do so many things with our hands, whatnot, everything, by eating, scratching, calling, touching, everything you do. The same thing the elephant can do from the tip of its trunk. It can pull the grass, it can clean it, it can sense even 1 rupee coin. It can, if you have dropped a 1 rupee coin or your lens caps, sometimes it will fall down. It can pick it up and give it to you. So that the tip of the trunk, it has got so much of sensing organs, and it can touch the finest, thinnest possible things. And it can sense from the smell, it can sense the smell from the far distance. And if you are calm, and if you don't disturb, it can be just about 5 to 10 feet distance from the from this giant animal. Because most of the people, they are afraid of elephants, tigers, and so many things. Being a wildlife photographer, I have been chased many times by rogue elephants. So we never move the vehicles. We will be very calm. It comes almost about 10 feet and 5 feet to you. They give you warnings. We know what kind of warning it gives. In many times it will be mark charging. And depending on its ferociousness and its aggressiveness, then we leave the place and go. But till then, we'll be there. We'll want to make it very calm. We want to tell the elephant that we are friends and we have not come here to disturb it and all. So the animal, if you are not disturbing it, will understand. It will be in front of you, just browsing there. It will be just minding its own business. So you can take more number of pictures in different lighting conditions, in different angles, different compositions, things like that. The important factor for wildlife photographer is to be calm and to know its mood of the elephant, in what kind of mood it is, and when we can take. So now we are entering into the jungle. So earlier when we were using film cameras during that time, we used to go to the jungle by walk or by our own vehicle. Now, because of the Project Tiger and so many other rules throughout India, we have to go only in gypsies, and we can never get down from the gypsy, and we have to be confined to the routes that has been assigned to each gypsies. So now we as a wildlife photographers, we don't have any freedom. So in whatever the opportunity that we get, we have to utilize that. I'm showing a beautiful female of Corbett. There's a tigress, and one of the finest tigress in Bijrani. And this has given more than 5 liters, and one of the very successful mother. And here also, I am just in front of this tiger, about maybe about 15 feet or something. And this was one of the early mornings. And here in my compositions, in all my photographic pictures, what I am showing you now, you can see my compositions, my lighting, and what is the kind of foreground that I use, what is the kind of background that I use, and where is the focus and how much space I have given. All these things you keep observing, because I not only just take pictures my pleasure, but also I keep participating in national and international photography exhibitions. From past 10 years, I have stopped many national salons, and I'm concentrating only on international salons. And even in a year, I just participate in very few international salons. So keeping that factor into mind, I do a lot of wildlife, pictorial, and travel photography, photojournalism, everything. I also started as a black and white photographer. I was doing my own black and white processing, film processing. I used to print my own black and white prints at home. And that's how I developed my knowledge about black and white photography. So for any photographer, digital photographer, you must have the basic knowledge about black and white. So once if you understand the black and whites, the tonal gradations, then understanding color is very easy. So that is all what I suggest for upcoming young photographers, is that you first develop the art of seeing through black and white, seeing the color through black and white. So then you can understand the color better, you can process the images in a much better way. This is one of the subadult in Corbett National Park. And in tigers, when the cubs become 1 year, 8 months, or 2 years old, they separate from the mother. So each tiger or each tigress will have its own territories. The female will have approximately about 4 to 5 kilometers, square kilometer territory. And the male tiger will have approximately 8 to 10 square kilometer of its own territory. So they will not like any other males to intervene. They'll have a fight. So the winner will occupy its territory. Here you can see the fully grown cub. It is about to separate from the mother. And this is the first female what I showed you earlier. The left side is the female and the right side is the cub. You can see you cannot differentiate which is the mother and the cub. So they have grown so much, and that is the time when the mother will be separated, and the cubs will have its own territories. They will go in search of different areas and form their own territories. Here the cub is following the mother. The mother is in the front. And you can see the lighting. There is a 4 o'clock side lighting. And I'm almost about 6 or 7 feet from the tiger. And I am at the tiger level itself. Because in the gypsies, I keep acting like a circus man. Because I don't rigidly sit on the seat and take pictures. I go down to the gypsy level. I sleep flat on the gypsy, take the low angle. Because for me, each and every picture, I change the angles. I change the different perspective, everything. Because just sitting on the gypsy and taking pictures like a Maharaja, it's not thrilling. Being a wildlife photographer, you should try to get the best out of your opportunities. That is what I love to do it. And you can see here the close-up of the tigress. And these markings on the tiger, the stripes on the tigers, is like fingerprints on the human beings. Each and every tiger will have its own markings. Everything is different. None of the tigers' markings are same. It's like barcoding. So each coding is different. So just like that, the stripes on the tigers are very, very different. And depending on this, we try to find that whether it's a new male, whether it's a new female, or whether it's a cub, things like that. Now you can see the pug of the tigress. This is the most important factor that we have to see in the jungle. Because of the pug marks, we get so many information, like whether it is a male or a female tiger, how old it is, and how much time before it has just crossed that area. All those things, information we get. And depending on the direction of the pug mark, we follow and get to sight the tigers. And many of the times we think that we get a call of the spotted deer or the langur call. We know that there is a tiger or the tigress. Here you can see the spotted deer. It has just become dumb by looking at the tigress. But it knows that this tiger is not in a mood of hunting. So it is deer is also calm. The tigress is also calm. So that time we never get any signals either from the deer or langurs. So that time, if you are lucky, you will get the animal in front of you. And many of the times we just pass through the grasslands, but most of the time we miss the sight of the tiger because of the camouflage. Camouflage is one of the nature's greatest saving mode. So because of the camouflage, all these animals are, they hide in their own territory to look for prey or to get away from the predator. So these are the different camouflage, what do you call that, trade of camouflage that they use. Here you can see the two markings on the ear, the white spots. This is the signal that it gives for the cubs to follow, because the cubs, they also, because of the camouflage, they cannot see the mother. So only when they look at this change of ears to the left, right, and all, that time they can see the white markings. That is the signal that their mother is there. So that time they come towards the mother. This is one of the finest male tiger in Bandipur. Unfortunately, this died, and due to some reasons about 4 years back or so. One of the very handsome tiger, and we got him on the open area at about 4 o'clock, just about some 15 feet or 10 feet from our gypsy. Very handsome male. It had made a kill, and it was going to fetch for that kill. So this was in the late evening, and here is one leopard in Bandipur. So I just utilized the opportunity of that tree formation also. And you can see how well it camouflages in the dry season. This is a dry season in February. The whole forest is dried up. But still, all these animals, they have to live whatever the season may be. So they have to get camouflaged in each season. And here there is one leopard hiding. I hope you people can recognize where it is. Can you see? This is how we find animals in the forest. Most of the time we miss it because we cannot really look into that. So here at the red marking, you can see the tiger leopard hiding. So this is how the situation will be. So if you wait for a longer time, the leopard will come out. And if you are quite calm, it may come very close to you. This is a male leopard. This is called as a temple leopard because in Kabini, near the temple, it used to move around very freely and without any hesitation. It used to come in front of any gypsies. It got used to the gypsies and human beings. And here it is crossing the road. And this is the kind of environment that is found, the leopards are found. Usually it takes the dry areas as well as the rocky areas to live within. And this is one of the time when there was a rain during the rainy season, and there was just a spell of small drizzle, and this leopard came out of the bush and it sat in front of our vehicle. So I was in the mini bus of the Bandipur Forest Department vehicle. So I went down to the last step of the vehicle. I did not get down onto the ground. I sat on the last step and took the eye-to-eye level composition. That's how you could see the ground level shot line. So you should try to look for different angles, different perspectiveness, things like that. And these are the Indian gauze, the pair of Indian gauze. This is wrongly called as bison. We don't have bison in India. So these are the Indian gauze, wild cattle. This is the female. And the surrounding flowers that you are seeing are called as Lantana. And these Lantana are not our Indian origin. They are originated from South America or American countries. It doesn't belong to India. But that is a very, very difficult this thing. They grow in every area, and to eradicate that is a very difficult task for the forest department. Here you can see a jackal carrying a fawn in Bandhagar. This is a panning shot. This was taken in almost about 6 o'clock lighting, very low lighting. This is a sloth bear, and sloth bears are quite difficult to face. You can see the ground level shot that I'm taking, and this is a female. And most of the time facing the sloth bears are quite difficult. And sometimes when you are there in the proper season, they come with the cubs. This is called as a piggyback. And the cubs, they climb onto the body and the shoulders of the mother, and they take a beautiful piggy ride. And that is how they carry their cubs on their body. And here is I just want to give a overall this thing, how I picturized that sloth bear. My friend, he had a small Maruti car, so we camouflaged the whole car with the different cloth. Where this imported camouflage cloth meant only for cars or other things. And then we camouflaged the whole car and waited for 2.5 hours, right from 3 o'clock. And this is a close-up where the animal cannot see us. So we will be sitting inside the car for more than 2.5 hours, having our food or water bottle, everything inside the car itself. we will not make even a single sound or no whispering, nothing. And after waiting for 2.5 hours, late in the evening, we come face to face with the sloth bear and the cub. Because when the sloth bear is having a cub, it's very, very difficult to face them. So just like elephants, they don't like anybody intruders in front of them. So they'll be very ferocious. So when you are hiding yourself inside the car, then there is no problem. Here you can see the sambar with young one. This was taken in Bandhavgarh National Park. And this is a communication between mother and calf. This is during the rainy season. The rain is falling and there is a spotted geese. There is the antelope. There is a black buck. There is a difference between antelopes and geese. Antelopes never shed their antlers. It's a permanent. Whereas the deers, they shed their antlers and the new this thing will come up after 2 months or 3 months. Whereas for the antelopes, it's a permanent antlers. These black bucks and the females doesn't have antlers. And there is a black buck female with the calf. And you can see how beautifully they have posed the symmetrical, they're standing next to each other, beautiful pose. This is the barking deer male. Getting the male at a closer distance is quite difficult. And this was taken in Barbet National Park. This is the Indian fox taken in Rajasthan. There is a striped-necked mongoose just after the rain. You can see the raindrops also on the body. There is a striped-necked mongoose on one of the morning times. There is a yellow-throated martin in Uttarakhand near the Chopta. You can see this rhododendron flowers. And rhododendrons are most beautiful flowers. You'll get nearly about 60 different colors out of this. And they make beautiful juice also out of this. And it is useful for medicine also. And in many ways, they use this rhododendrons. And from March last week up to April, you'll get the beautiful bloom of this rhododendrons. The whole forest becomes red. So it is the best month to visit both Uttarakhand and Sikkim, because from Himachal Pradesh to Uttarakhand and to Sikkim, this range varies. So this is a high altitude flower. So you will get only in the month of March and April. This is a wild boar with its piglets. This is a desert spiny lizard. And these are the prey base for most of the predator birds. So there are a lot of predatory birds in and around Talchapur and Velavadar and so many other desert national park and so many places. So a lot of predatory birds, they depend on this particular spiny lizard, desert lizard. This just 1 day old baby monkey. You can see the umbilical cord also on the left hand side corner, and it has got a beautiful pink face. And here you can see two brothers, bonnet macaques in Bandipur. And here the female is fighting with the male, because most of the time the female will have a tough time when it has a baby. Sometimes the snakes, there are 5 different snakes in India which are poisonous. They are in the top 5 list as most poisonous. One of them is the cobra. So called as common cobra, there are spectacle cobra, things like that, different varieties. Here on one of my macro photography outing in a park, I came across this cobra, and I'm using 105 macro lens to take the close-up of the hood. And if you, as I said earlier, if you know the behavior of all these animals, birds, snakes, and all, you can go close. You can play safe. So the art of taking picture is knowing it in a better way. So here you can see, since I was using 105 macro for macro photography, I used the same lens for this. So I went above that and stood right on that snake, just below near my foot. I wanted to take this particular shot from the top. So this is the close-up of the hood. You can see how beautiful the abstract patterns on the hood. And one of the very, very dangerous aspects of losing wildlife is the forest fire. It may cause naturally or man-made, but both causes a wild distraction and a lot of destruction for the nature, and particularly for animals and birds and snakes and so many insects, they lose their life. So we have to strive hard to see that nobody um, should smoke in the forest, nor they should use any matchsticks or for any purposes, because a small small fire, a small this thing can cause a vast of destruction in the forest. And coming to birds, lot of there are a lot of people who do bird photography, and we have got nearly about 1,800 plus species in the world, out of which 1,200 plus species are found in India. And it is very, very, very difficult to take all the species of birds in our lifetime. Even if we have another 2-3 life coming up, we may not complete all the species, all the number of species of birds. So India is a vast country having so many birds, so quite difficult. And how to approach taking bird picture? There are 2-3 ways of taking bird pictures. One is by going by car, approaching the birds in a dry land, and quite cautiously and with knowingly and taking care, you can go very near to the bird. And depending on the driving skill and depending on your know-how about the bird, you can approach it at a closer distance. And using proper lenses, you can take pictures of the birds in a natural habitat. Another thing is going to the bird sanctuaries and by gypsies or by in your own vehicle and taking pictures. The other way of taking pictures in bird sanctuaries where there are rivers or water bodies like Ranganthittu Bird Sanctuary or Bharatpur Bird Sanctuary or Mangaljodi Bird Sanctuary, you have to go by boat and approach the birds in a proper manner and in a slow and steady manner, so that sudden movements, sudden approach to the birds, the bird will not like it. So as and when the bird is sitting, you have to show up yourself in a very slow and steady way. So that is how you can approach and take the bird in its different modes. You can go very close that time. So the bird get adjusted to your vehicle, becomes your friend, and thinks that you are not going to harm it or you are not going to disturb it. So it will sit there and pose for you for a long time. And here you can see the Himalayan vultures. So these Himalayan vultures are found in Himalayas. So these are called as Himalayan Griffon vultures. So that's why this Himalayan Griffon will also come to the desert area like Rajasthan. So when you shoot in Himalayas, make utilization of the landscape also. That is the reason behind taking this picture. So when a bird lover or a wildlife photographer, they see this, so they can really connect with the Himalayas as the title says, Himalayan Griffon vulture. This monal pheasant, I'm sorry, it's not monal pheasant, it's what is this? Himalayan monal ಅಲ್ಲ? Kalish pheasant, yeah. So there is a Kalish pheasant taken in Uttarakhand, and these Kalish pheasants are very beautiful. In fact, the males got beautiful colors, whereas the females are dull. You can see the female on the left is quite dull, and the color red is attractive. The touch of color on these birds are very beautiful, and the males will have more beautiful this thing, the crest and the colors and all. And in both the animals and in birds, the females are very dull in color, and they don't have crest as big as this small crest, and it will not have as good colors as the male. This is the male jungle fowl. This has got a beautiful coloration of orange, reds, everything we can see is just like a football. I have come face to face with this jungle fowl. So red jungle fowl it is called. It was taken in Uttarakhand. There's a seagull in the first light of the sun. Early morning, maybe around 6:30, I shot this picture. This was taken with 24 mm wide angle lens. So always I carry all my gadgets. So since the birds, they come very close to you, you can use wide angles also. This is a black-necked stork. You can see it is going to the right. The cormorants are going to the left. There is a contrast of direction. And a handheld shot with the 600 mm f4. This was taken in Barbet National Park. And here is a whiskered tun with the fish. This was taken in Mangalajodi. Mangalajodi is one of the very good wetlands that you get a lot of migratory birds. And now is the season, the December and January is the peak season. And you get a lot of migratory birds like black-winged godwit and so many beautiful species of birds you get to see there. And in Rangantittu near Mysore, if you go, you'll get a lot of big birds like this pelican, spot-billed pelican it is called. In action you will get. And here probably if you are a serious wildlife photographer, you may ask, most of the time the pelicans, they swim in the water, they will be in the water fishing and all. But here you can see the pelican, it is not swimming or it is not sitting in the water. It is taking the water in its beak, and it will drink while it is flying, or it will sit on a tree and drink. What is the reason behind this? Is because this river in Rangantittu, it consists of a lot of crocodiles. There are more than 250 crocodiles in this, marsh crocodiles. So that is the reason it will not swim in this. They will get caught by the crocodiles. So that is one of the reasons that it is just taking. So that is why in any other sanctuaries, you will not get action picture of pelican like this. Only in Rangantittu you can take. And here you can see the Ganges gharial basking in the sun along with the river terns. They are also basking along with the gharial. There is a morning light around 10:30 as soon as we came back from the sanctuary. I took this. This was taken with 600 mm. And here you can see the plum-headed parakeets. It gels very well with the blue sky. There's a Indian, there's a blue jay. You can see the beautiful bee also, it is approaching it. Indian roller. This is the state bird of Karnataka also. There's a crested pied kingfisher taken in Barbet. In fact, when I'm shooting some of the animals or birds, when the birds are very static and they are not moving at all, that time I keep experimenting with my equipment. So here I shot this particular picture with 600 mm f4 at f4. So usually we shoot at f8, f11 like that. But here I wanted to show what is the depth you get at f4, because it throws away the whole background. I got with f11, f22, everything, all the apertures. In fact, when we are talking about basics of photography, about aperture, that will come to use with various apertures. So this particular bird gave me that opportunity without moving. It became so static. It did not even blink or did not move its head for a very long time. This red-crested pochard taking off. This migratory bird. These birds, they come from Ireland, and this was taken in Gajoldoba. So most of the North Indian sanctuaries, wherever there are wetlands, you will find these birds. This is an Indian coot. So they run on the water to take off. Here you can see a lot of birds together, they're flying, but they're not overlapped, they're flying together in a evening light. This actually, when you find something interesting, the background, you can see the beautiful undulations, the curves, just like sand dunes. So this I found it very interesting when I was taking in Gajoldoba. So I made it. That is the reason where I kept the bird at 1/3 composition to give those dune effect. Because in late evening lighting, it creates a very good light and shadow. This thing that is so such kind of opportunities, if you use, it will be very good. Like here also, brown-winged kingfisher taken in Bitterkanika. One thing that what I usually say is right time at the right place. So while I was chasing this bird, it used to change its perch quite often. And I was on the big boat. Uh, so I was on a very big boat. We cannot take a U-turn and come. So after going far and coming back, I saw this bird changing the perch. And while taking the turn and coming back, there was a spell of rain for just 2 minutes. So just a drizzle. You can see the rain droplets at the back of the perch also. And it came and sat in a place where the leaves are also matching with its colors. So that opportunity was one of the very rare opportunities that I got during my bird photography career. And this Bitterkanika, it has got nearly about 12 endemic kingfishers. And if you are really thinking about adding kingfisher to your list, the wildlife photographers can go to this Bitterkanika and take a lot of kingfishers, particularly at least about 8 are endemic to Bitterkanika. And coming to bigger birds, the predator birds like tawny eagle, spotted eagle, or short-throat snake eagle, all those bigger birds which are predators, taking them in the flight is very, very difficult, because their large wingspan, it blocks or it doesn't give you the proper composition. When to take their flight images is when they are sitting on a branch, and when you know that they are going to jump off or when they are going to take off, that time you click, because that is the time you get the beautiful composition, the anatomy of the bird. You can see the legs stretches straight, the tail stretched, and the wings are on the top. It's a beautiful composition that you will get. This particular anatomy of the bird you will not get any time else when it is flying. So that is a time when you should be very attentive and take picture. And this is one of the most cute bird, red-billed blue magpie. It came and sat in front of us, because from past many years I have been chasing this bird in Uttarakhand in forest. They move in groups of 4 or 5 birds or 8 birds together, but very rarely they come and sit on branches. This is a Himalayan great Himalayan barbet. So one of the big barbets, among the barbets, this is the biggest, and is quite bigger than crows, common crows. And fortunately, it is sitting on a beautiful flowering perch. And here they are not in talking terms. They are about to fight, male and female. This is a yellow-napped woodpecker, and this is one of the beautiful woodpeckers that we have got in Uttarakhand. The interesting part is the perch that it is sitting, very artistic perch. And there is a white-crested laughing thrush. And why I use it, the black background is to highlight its white head or the crest. So if you use the green background or anything, you may not differentiate like this. And there is a white-throated laughing thrush pair. And by looking at the perch that it is sitting, the moss, you can find out it belongs to the higher altitude. This is a green magpie, one of the rarest among the birds in Uttarakhand, and very rarely you will get it for your camera. It has got beautiful colors. Sometimes when the bird comes and sits in front of you, you may think it's a plastic bird. It's just like that. You can see a lot of very contrasting colors. This is a black-headed jay. And here it is taking a bath. The white-crested laughing thrush is taking a bath. I used higher shutter speeds, must be some 2000 or so shutter speed to get the splash of water. This is Navrang, the bird. It's called Navrang, or also called as Indian Pitta. And it has got more than 9 colors. That's why they call it as Navrang. And very rarely they come and sit on the perch because it's a ground dwelling bird. Usually it is found on the grounds, and very rarely it comes on the perch. This is a flycatcher, paradise flycatcher male, singing. This is a white-breasted kingfisher. Now the name is a white-throated kingfisher with the feet. Here after the bath, it's just cleaning its wing. This is a small blue kingfisher. The advantage of using 600 mm prime lenses is throwing out the background. It becomes so diffused and beautiful. Your subject stands out. This is a purple rumped sunbird, male. Here the pair of red-whiskered bulbul on a berry plant. This is a blue-winged green bee-eater. It's relaxing. It's stretching its wings and relaxing. Here a pair of them. And right side is the male and the left side is the female. During the courtship or during the mating season, the male brings the feed and feeds the female. If the female accepts it, then it will mate with the male. Otherwise, it will not. This is a jungle bush quail. The right side is the male and the left side is the female. And you can see the beautiful the environment where it lives. So nice background and water bodies and color contrast of the stone and the birds. This is a golden-backed woodpecker, also called as black-necked woodpecker. It has, you can see the colors, what it has got, the gold wings and the red crest. You have to bring out the same colors in the processing. That is the beauty of the wildlife photographer. The processing has to be perfect. So every detail in the wings, the eyes, the colors in the perch, everything you have to bring it out exactly like what you have seen while shooting. Here you can see the color matching with the bird and the perch. Whatever the colors on the fruits, the same colors on the body of the bird also. Red-whiskered bulbul. Now coming to the insects, my last part of my wildlife diaries. So taking in pictures of insects, you have to need a lot of patience, more patience than animals and birds photography. Because insects, they always they will be there for you, but when you go near, they'll just vanish. They will fly, or they will hide behind the leaves, or they will try to escape from you. So and also the composition that you take during photography of insects is very important. It's not always that you should fill the frame. You should actually, if you make it simple photography, you have to keep it as it is. What is the size of the insect? In wildlife photography, depicting the size of the animal, the size of the bird, or size of the insect is very, very important. The size of the sparrow should look like sparrow. If you make it full frame, it becomes bigger than the crow. So it gives a wrong signal to the onlooker. So that is why in wildlife photography, keeping the simple in a same size is very, very important. Here you can see the horsefly on a flower taking the nectar. And this is what the latest gears that we use for diffusers. The right side is the manual diffuser. The left side is the built-in diffuser with power bank as well as the lights. So here on the right-hand side, we are using the flash and only the diffuser. It gives a beautiful diffusion effect. The same thing it does with the left-hand side, where the flash will diffuse, but the flash can be connected directly to the power bank that is there. You can see my mouse point here. There is a power bank here. There is a connector. So you can use the flash connection directly, as well as you can light it up your subject through here. Through this power bank, there is a light and there's a torch light. You can light up your subject. On the right hand side, nothing is there except the diffuser. So both works the same way. And on the right hand side, it costs 1,000 rupees. The left hand side will cost around 5,000 rupees. These are the kind of diffusers that we use for insects and butterfly photography. Here you can see the green link spider has got the colorful fly, and you can see the composition. It's a number 9 composition. So because it looks like number 9, so I just named it as number 9 composition. And just like in 600 mm f4, what diffusion you get at the background, the similar kind of out of focus background, you will get it in macro lenses. And here you can see the green link spider, it has got a termite. So these actions are very, very important in macro photography. So when the predator, it preys on the subject, that time you have to be there and with the proper lighting and with the proper background. That is most important. And here I have used 2 flashes just to highlight the curves of this plant. These are the snails, a pair of snails. And this is one of the night when dragonflies roosting. I shot this with a flashlight just to highlight its wing patterns and colors, the transparency of the color of the wing. I used the flash from the top 90-degree angle. And this is a web, spider web in a different composition. And this is the moss mantis. Actually, this is the moss, what you can see. This is the moss, what you can see. This is the insect. It's called as moss mantis. It exactly camouflages on the moss. And these mosses, mantises, they select particular mosses. There are about 3-4 moss that is available in the forest, but you will not find this mantis on other mosses. So it selects particular mosses and sits on that, and they are active only after 12 o'clock in the midnight. So we had to be in the forest with the torchlight searching for this in the midnights. Here I have used 2 flashes, one from the back and one from the front. And just you can see how well it has camouflaged in all its shapes and shades. There is the bull ant on one of the bird of paradise flower. Here you can see the bicolored frog, how nicely it camouflages in the forest. From this is the close-up of the frog, but when you see this frog from the far distance, because of this coloration of the dry leaf, black leaf, and the coloration of the background, the yellow leaf, it sits exactly like that, camouflaging. I don't know how nicely it can see or it can gauge these colors in the nature, but it's quite difficult to identify this frog when you are in the field. There's a blue-eyed bush frog in the night, and here it is just it's calling its mate during a mating season. It gives a call by blowing out their throat, and it becomes full like a ball, and it attracts the females. This is the egg of the bush frog, and this egg is just the size of our peanuts, and within that you can see the baby of that frog within that, and they keep rotating inside that eggshell. It will look like a jelly actually. When you are in the field, you can see it like a jelly. There's jumping spiders, and there's a potter wasp. It's building its nest. You can see that is why it is called as a potter wasp. They bring only this mud and they build, and they use both their thorax as well as their mouth part to build this nest. And the back portion of this body, it works like a JCB. If you watch them just in front of their activities, you feel it's a miniature JCB. It's amazing how the nature has given them so much of technology in nature. You see the thorax, it has put inside the hole, and it is fine-tuning the outer opening. So we just we can't imagine how fantastically it can do. With our hands, humans, we cannot do like that. It's impossible. There's a moth, and these moths are active only in the night, and this is one of the most beautiful moths, and I have taken this with the flash. And there's a Malabar Pit Wiper. There's a blue morph, the green morph is a mix of that. And this is during the rainy season when the rain is falling, and in the daytime when it is raining, because of the wind, you can see the direction of the water. It's just like a waves. There's a wine snake in the rain. And this wine snake is non-poisonous, and it is very common snake, whereas this pit vipers are very poisonous. And here I'll show in my last this thing about the birth of the cicada. So this whole body is of the cicadas. Cicadas are one of the insects that make a lot of screeching sound in the forest. When most of the photographers, probably when you are in the sanctuary, you keep hearing the intolerable sound in the jungle, and these are cicadas. They make that sound. Here, this shell, the whole body, it will be there inside the earth for almost about 12 to 13 years, depending on different cicadas. Some cicadas, they hibernate for 3 to 4 years, and some cicadas, they hibernate for 13 to 14 years, like that. And only when they want to come out of this thing and take a new molt, they come out of the ground for molting. So when they come out of the ground, you can see the whole this tree bark is wet. It is raining. This was shot, the first picture I shot at 10:30 in the night in the jungle in Agumbe. Agumbe is famous for frogs, snakes, lot of insects, moths, thousands of moths and thousands of insects and all. So in Agumbe, when it is raining in the 10:30, this is the first shot when the cicada came out and it is searching to get hold of the perch. And now it has got hold of the perch, and now you can see the cicada, it is coming out of this shoulder of this body. The wings are out, the eyes are coming out. Now the body is coming out now, and this is the dead shell at the back side. You can see now it is called as the dead shell. The cicada is emerging now. Now, just like humans' umbilical cord attached to the mother, here also the umbilical cords, like the nerves, are getting attached to this shell. So it has to get break of that. So now it will go down, bending down, and this umbilical cord, like nerves and all what you see here, it will get cut. And also you can see the various color tones of the wings that is forming. This is not the full wings forming, it is just slowly it is coming out. Now you can see the card is cut here. So now it has to fall down. So before falling down, it will come back and get hold of the shell for its grip so that it will not fall down. Now the whole body or the thorax, it will come out. Now you can see the thorax has come out, and now the wings will start forming its wings. Now slowly it is taking the shape, and slowly the cicada is getting hold of the shell by holding it properly. And now it will hold that shell for almost about 3 hours to 4 hours. And now you can see at the back, it is raining. So this happens during the rainy season. You can see the rain droplets highlighted because of the flash. I used about 2 flashes, one for the front, one for the backlighting. This wing, when it comes out and started drying, it will be totally transparent and it will have blue color, because in the wings, the blue blood will be flowing all across. Now it has taken a separate branch. It has just left that shell and taken a grip on the nearest branch. Now you can see the blue blood is flowing in the wings. By putting a torch right on the top of the cicada at 90-degree angle, you can really see the blue blood all over. So after 4 hours, this blue turns into transparent color, and the adult cicada will be formed, and it will fly, and it will be there for one day only. And it will not eat anything. It will just come out only to mate. By beating this wing, it makes sound to attract the female. That is the sound that you hear in the jungles. So after mating, it will die. So that is the life of this cicada. So friends, I hope you enjoyed my slideshow, and I hope I shared my whatever the little knowledge that I have in wildlife photography. And any questions if you have, you can please ask. I'm ready to share. And this is my last slides. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I thank TPS and all the office bearers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So we have a few questions that
Yes.
were asked during the presentation.
Yeah.
So I'll quickly ask them, and you
Yes,
can
yes.
give your answers to it. Okay. So Sharma sir is asking, any post processing is done in your images? Are
Yes.
post processing done? Yeah. And what is your workflow for it?
For each and every picture that you showed, you have to do processing. So that is called post processing, as all of you know. So there is no manipulation. Manipulation is entirely different from processing. Each picture that we shoot is raw image. Raw images are just like raw vegetables. Either you have to cook sambar, or you have to cook curry, or you have to eat it raw. So it all depends on you. So the same aspect that I treat all my pictures like that. When I take raw images, I have to process it to see that it comes out with a beautiful colors, beautiful tones, beautiful color formations, beautiful compositions. So we have to do post processing. None of the images you cannot show like raw images. I have seen in many clubs and even in our own club, some of the members, they come and show, sir, this is just as I shot, sir, these are raw images. I don't like post processing and all. If you are not processing, you are not a photographer. You have to do post processing to show it to us like what you have seen while shooting. That is most important. To show it like that, you have to do processing.
Yes, yes, absolutely correct, sir. Yeah. Okay, so the next question again by Sharma sir is
Yes.
which species of wildlife fascinates you and why?
Actually speaking, none of this thing is fascinates. Everything, it fascinates me. Everything, whatever it comes in front of me, I love to take pictures. As you have seen in whole of my sets, I've taken landscapes, I've taken animals, I've taken birds, insects, butterflies, snakes, everything. So everything fascinates me too much. But the most I love is the elephants.
Yeah. Why, sir? Why elephants?
I don't know why, because most of the time when you are with the elephants, they act like humans. Their behavior, their connectivity with each group, each animal is just like humans. And most of the time, their expressions they make and they behave very much similar to humankind. The babies, the calves of the elephants, they act like human babies. And we have got more attachment towards elephants right from the childhood. Particularly all humans, I am sure that 99% of all human beings, we are attached with the two important things in our life. For lifetime, we never get detached or we love this forever. One is looking at elephants and loving them. The second thing is looking at airplanes and making Tata to airplanes. So these two things, what I have found in my life experience is every human being, they love these two factors, these
Very,
two things.
yeah, yeah,
That is how we are totally connected with these animals.
yes, yes. Yeah. So Ishwar sir is asking, what is the exposure mode that you like the best?
Yeah, I use aperture priority always, and I don't think about using higher ISO and all. I am never afraid of using higher ISO because I have shot with 3200 ISO. I shot with 6400 ISO, things like that. What I want is I want the picture. I want the sharp image without any shake. So if you use very low ISO like 100 ISO 200 because you don't like noise, in that ISO you don't get sharp images, you get shake images. So what is the use?
Right.
So the important factor for wildlife photographer is when you take a picture, any kind of picture, it should be sharp and without any problem you should get it. So noise, you should never make a noise about it.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. On this, there was a similar question by
Yeah.
KVJRK birds in low light if you select f8 or f11 aperture.
Yes,
So
that's what
yeah,
I'm telling.
yeah,
So F8 is when you are shooting bird, when it is static, when it is not doing anything, just posing, you can take in F11 or so. But
yeah,
when it is about to fly or in flight, if you want to take, don't use F11, F16 and all, because that time the depth is not important because it will be sky. So use F8 or 5.6. You will get sharp. And because of F8 or 5.6, your shutter speed will increase from 500 to 1000 or 1000 to 2000. But if you the big animals are the big birds, it will not flap their wings very frequently. Okay, so that time the shutter speed, even if it is less, it's okay. As the birds become smaller and smaller, the flap of the wings is very fast. So depending on the size of the birds, you have to select the shutter speeds. So particularly for smaller birds, it has to be minimum of 2000 or more for flight images. In case if you want to take very sharp wing beats. But I feel even if the edges of the wings are little bit shaded, that gives beautiful effect. That means it shows it is in motion. I don't see why a lot of wildlife photographers, they want everything to be sharp, even the tail, the wings, everything. You show something action, because even the beat of the wings is also the motion. So if there is little shake in the wings, don't worry about it. You take, and sometimes you use 30th or 60th of a second and make panning shots. It's beautiful. And sometimes you keep open the shutter speed for a long time, show the motion of the birds in artistic manner. They are all artistic. You have to create something. I have got all those pictures, but I did not show it today. I never thought you may ask this question. Otherwise, I would have shown that picture.
Yeah. I think showing the motion or the flight of the bird is also important in a picture, because that is how it defines that particular bird or the animal. Yes. So KVJ R.K. Rao sir has also asked about the diffuser that were used for the macro shot. I think Hardik Shah sir has replied to it. They are radiant diffusers, right? And
no,
are they
the name of the diffuser, they have named it as radiant. It has got nothing like this thing, because if you search radiant diffuser, you may not get it, because one person in Karnataka is doing all this and supplying to all macro photographers. So he has named it as a radiant diffuser. So in case if somebody wants to use it, I can get his number.
Sure. Yeah, we'll definitely let you know, sir. So yes, I think that's all other questions. A lot of appreciation for the photos that were shared.
Thank you so much.
And I personally
I hope
also
they liked it.
Yes, everybody has liked them. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'll hand it over to Sharma sir now.
No, I think Satya sir would say a few words.
Okay. Satya sir, you can.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sir.
Thanks a lot, Satish. It is a fascinating journey. And
thank you so much.
Yeah, it's almost 1.5 hours. It just flew like that. And the fascinating and the climax of that image, that where that thing is coming out of it, is really. Cicada. I had a Cicada that I don't know. My wildlife knowledge is very minimal. So, but I had a goosebumps, So looking at that, so that was a fantastic, and haven't seen something like that in my life. So brilliant show, and
thank you so much.
And I'm sure all the members who are there, they would have immensely enjoyed. And on behalf of TPS, we really like to thank you. And also, when the pandemic is over, we'd like to invite you to TPS to give live presentation.
Sure, okay? Certainly. So
we should.
My pleasure. Yeah.
It will be great pleasure to us.
Certainly.
Yes.
And also, before concluding, I would say a few words. And it was really a massive, serious collection of the images. It was a fabulous session.
Thank you, sir.
And we were totally immersed, and it was a feast to the eyes and the minds.
Oh, thank you so
See
much.
them,
Sir.
the wildlifers or non-wildlifers. And we feel it as a grand finale for this year, 2020. For presentation, this amazing presentation. And
thank you so much.
Thank you. And it's a recorded event, and it will be shared if anybody.
Sure. Yeah.
And wish you all the members and guests and our special guest, Sri Satish sir, and all our members and guests, a very beautiful and successful New Year 2021 without any COVID. And we hope the pandemic would be over and we'll have a healthy world soon. And I also thank Mr. H.Satish Patwardhan for having arranged this, and sir, who has been a cornerstone and a milestone for our TPS. And also I thank Ruchira Rudra. She has designed our posters.
Richa, sir. Richa
Rudra.
Just Richa. Yeah.
Richa. And with this, I think I will conclude this session. And thank you very much once again, Sri Satish sir. And we are highly grateful to you for having graced this occasion. And thank you very much, all members and guests.
Thank you so much, and wish you a happy New Year.
Happy New Year, sir. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.